The escape pod shook violently as it crashed through the atmosphere of the trading station. Inside, Yura held onto her seat with trembling hands. Her feathers were matted with dried blood, and her wings ached from the cramped space. The data core pressed against her chest, hidden beneath her torn jacket. Everything she had stolen from the Dominion was in that small device. Everything that could save millions of lives. The pod hit the metal floor of the docking bay with a terrible screech. Yura's head snapped forward, and pain shot through her neck. For a moment, she couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then the pod door hissed open, and cold air rushed in. She stumbled out, nearly falling. The docking bay was dark and dirty, filled with cargo containers and old ships. A few workers stopped what they were doing to stare at her. Yura's heart sank. She recognized the look in their eyes. They knew who she was. Or at least, they knew there was a bounty on her head. "That's a Valerian," one of them said, "a large creature with 4 arms. The Dominion's looking for one of those." 50,000 credits, another added, grinning. Alive or dead, Yura backed away, but her legs were weak. She had been running for 3 days straight. No food, no sleep, just running. The workers moved toward her. Forming a circle, she looked around desperately for an exit, but there was none. "Please," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I haven't done anything wrong." "Don't care," the 4-armed one said. 50,000 credits is 50,000 credits. He reached for her. Yura closed her eyes, waiting for hands to grab her. But instead, she heard a loud crack. The sound of bone breaking. She opened her eyes to see the 4-armed worker on the ground, clutching his face. Blood poured between his fingers. A man stood between her and the others. He was human, dressed in worn combat gear. Scars marked his face and arms. His black hair was cut short, and his eyes were cold and focused. He didn't look at Yura, he just stared at the workers. "Walk away," the human said quietly. "This isn't your business, human," one of the workers said. But he took a step back. "I'm making it my business. There's 5 of us and 1 of you." The human smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "Then it's almost fair." The workers looked at each other. Yura had heard stories about humans. They were supposed to be weak compared to most species, fragile. But something about this man made the workers hesitate. Maybe it was the way he stood, maybe it was the scars, or maybe it was the absolute certainty in his voice that he would hurt them badly if they tried anything. One by one, they backed away. The 4-armed one got up and stumbled off, still holding his broken face. Soon, Yura and the human were alone in the docking bay. The man turned to look at her for the first time. His expression softened slightly. "You hurt?" Yura nodded. She didn't trust her voice. "Can you walk?" She tried to take a step and nearly fell. The human caught her easily, one arm supporting her weight. He was strong, much stronger than he looked. "My ship's not far," he said. "Come on. Why are you helping me?" Yura managed to ask. The human didn't answer right away. He guided her through the docking bay, past rows of ships. Finally, they stopped in front of a medium-sized vessel. It was old, but well-maintained. The name Morning Star was painted on the side. "Because someone should," he said simply. He helped her up the loading ramp. Inside, the ship was clean and organized. Everything had its place. The human led her to a small medical bay and helped her sit on the examination table. He didn't ask questions. He just started treating her wounds with practiced efficiency. "What's your name?" Yura asked. "Dae-sung," he said. He cleaned a cut on her arm carefully. "Yours?" "Yura." He nodded and continued working. His hands were gentle despite their size. Yura watched him, trying to understand. In her experience, no one did anything without wanting something in return, but Dae-sung asked for nothing. He didn't even ask why the Dominion wanted her. "I can't pay you," she said quietly. "Didn't ask you to. The Dominion will come looking for me. Being near me is dangerous." Dae-sung paused and looked at her. "The Dominion's always dangerous," That's nothing new. He finished bandaging her wounds and stepped back. You need rest. You can use my quarters. I'll sleep in the common area. I can't take your room, Yura protested. You can barely stand. Don't argue. His tone was firm, but not unkind. He led her to a small cabin. The bed looked incredibly comfortable. Yura couldn't remember the last time she had slept in an actual bed. Get some sleep, Daesung said. I'll stand watch. You'll stand watch? Outside the door? Someone's got to make sure you're safe. Yura felt something strange in her chest. A feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time. Safety. This human stranger made her feel safe. She wanted to say thank you, but the words seemed too small. Daesung must have seen something in her expression because his face softened again. Sleep, Yura. We'll figure out the rest later. He left, and Yura heard him take position outside the door. She lay down on the bed, still clutching the data core to her chest. Every instinct told her she should run. Should find another ship. Should keep moving, but her body betrayed her. Exhaustion dragged her down into sleep. She woke hours later to the sound of voices, angry voices. Yura sat up quickly, pain shooting through her body. She crept to the door and opened it slightly. Daesung was in the common area, facing 3 armed men. They wore Dominion uniforms. Bounty hunters. We know she's here, one of them said. Hand her over, and we'll leave peacefully. No, Daesung said simply. We're authorized to use force. So am I. The lead hunter laughed. You're one human. We're 3 trained soldiers. Be smart about this. Daesung moved so fast that Yura almost missed it. One moment he was standing still. The next, the lead hunter was on the ground, and Daesung had his weapon. 2 shots. The other 2 hunters dropped, stunned. Daesung stood over them, calm and controlled. I am being smart, he said. Now get off my ship. The hunters scrambled to their feet and ran. Daesung watched them go, then turned and saw Yura in the doorway. She stared at him with wide eyes. You should be sleeping, he said. They'll tell the Dominion where I am. I know. He walked to the pilot's chair and began pressing buttons. The ship's engines hummed to life. That's why we're leaving. Where are we going? Away from here. Somewhere safe. Why? Yura asked again. Why are you doing this? Daesung paused at the controls. He looked at her. And for a moment, something painful crossed his face. Because I know what it's like when no one helps. When everyone looks away. He turned back to the controls. Strap in. This might get rough. As the Morning Star lifted off from the station, Yura sat in the co-pilot's seat and watched this human warrior prepare for whatever came next. She had planned to run alone, to trust no one, to keep moving until she found someone powerful enough to protect the data she carried. But now, watching Daesung's calm determination, she realized something. Maybe she had already found someone strong enough, not because of power or weapons or influence, but because of something else entirely, something she was only beginning to understand. The ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving the trading station far behind. And with it, leaving behind the person Yura used to be. The one who ran alone. The one who trusted no one. She didn't know it yet, but that person was never coming back. The alarm woke Yura from a restless sleep. She bolted upright in bed, her heart racing. Red lights flashed throughout the cabin. She heard Daesung's voice over the ship's intercom. Get to the bridge. Now. Yura ran, ignoring the pain in her legs. When she reached the bridge, she saw 3 ships on the scanner. They were closing in fast. Dominion interceptors, built for speed and firepower. They found us, she whispered. Daesung didn't look away from the controls. His hands moved quickly over the buttons and switches. Strap in. This is going to be bad. Yura fell into the co-pilot's seat and fastened the harness. Your ship can't outrun them. Those are military interceptors. I know what they are. Daesung pulled hard on the controls. The Morning Star banked sharply to the left. Yura felt the pressure push her into her seat. I'm not trying to outrun them. Then what are you doing? Something stupid. He pointed ahead. Through the viewport, Yura saw an asteroid field. Massive rocks tumbled through space, colliding with each other in violent explosions. We're going through that. That's suicide. No pilot can navigate through those asteroids at this speed. Dae-sung smiled grimly. No normal pilot? The ship plunged into the asteroid field. Yura screamed as a rock the size of a building passed by the viewport. So close she could see the ice crystals on its surface. Dae-sung's hands never stopped moving. He twisted the ship left, then right, then rolled it completely upside down to avoid a collision. Behind them, the Dominion ships followed. One of them clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. Yura watched it tumble away on the scanner. Two left, Dae-sung said calmly. How are you doing this? Yura asked. The ship jerked violently, and her head hit the side of her seat. How can you react this fast? Was on her head. How can you react this fast? Humans can take more G-force than most species. Our bodies handle the pressure better. He pulled the ship into a dive. And I've been doing this a long time. An asteroid exploded ahead of them. Fragments sprayed in all directions. Dae-sung flew straight through the debris field. Pieces of rock pelted the hull. Alarms blared. But they made it through. The second Dominion ship wasn't so lucky. A large fragment struck its engine. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. One more, Dae-sung said. The last interceptor was smarter. It hung back, following at a safe distance. Dae-sung guided the Morning Star deeper into the asteroid field. Finally, they reached a calm area, a pocket of space where fewer rocks drifted. Lost visual, Dae-sung said, checking the scanner. They're hiding, waiting for us to come out. How long can we stay here? As long as we need to. He powered down the engines to minimum. We drift with the asteroids. They can't tell us apart from the rocks on their scanners. The bridge went quiet except for the soft hum of life support. Yura's hands were shaking. She looked down at them, trying to make them stop. She couldn't. First time being hunted? Dae-sung asked quietly. I've been running for days. But this was different. They almost killed us. They tried. They failed. He unbuckled his harness and stood. Come on. We might be here a while. In the common area, Dae-sung made tea. Real tea, not the synthetic kind. Yura wrapped her hands around the warm cup and felt some of the shaking stop. You lost people to the Dominion, she said. It wasn't a question. Dae-sung was quiet for a long moment. My whole unit. We were stationed on a border world. The Dominion said it was a peacekeeping mission. But it wasn't. His jaw tightened. They wiped out a colony. Blamed it on us. Declared us rogue soldiers. Left us to die. How did you survive? I didn't give up. Fought my way off-world. Been running jobs ever since. He looked at her. What about you? What made you run? Yura touched the data core hidden under her jacket. She had told no one what it contained. But something about Dae-sung made her want to trust him. I'm a scientist. I worked for the Dominion's research division. They told us we were developing medicine. New treatments for diseases. She closed her eyes, remembering, but it was a lie. We were making a weapon, a biological weapon that targets specific genetic markers. A weapon that kills certain species while leaving others alone, Dae-sung said quietly. Yes. They're going to use it to control the galaxy. Any species that doesn't obey will simply cease to exist. Yura's voice shook. I couldn't be part of that, so I copied all the data and ran. That's why they want you so badly. You can prove what they're doing. Yura nodded. The data has to reach the Coalition Council. If people know what the Dominion is planning, they can stop it. Before Dae-sung could respond, the scanner beeped. They both rushed to the bridge. On the screen, a new signal appeared. Not the Dominion ship, something else. That's a distress signal, Yura said. Civilian transport. Dae-sung pulled up the information. Under attack. Dominion fighters. We should stay hidden. If we move, that interceptor will find us. Dae-sung's hands were already on the controls. The engines roared to life. "What are you doing?" Yura asked. "They'll kill us." "Maybe. But I'm not leaving those people to die. You don't even know them." "Don't need to." He pushed the throttle forward. The Morning Star shot out from the asteroid field. "We don't leave people behind. Not while we can still fight." Yura stared at him in disbelief. Every logical part of her mind screamed that this was wrong. Foolish. Suicidal. But she saw the determination in Daesung's eyes, and understood. This wasn't about logic. This was about something deeper, something human. The civilian transport came into view. It was old and slow, built for cargo, not combat. 3 Dominion fighters circled it like predators. They fired, and the transport's shields flickered. Daesung came in fast and hard. He fired the Morning Star's guns, catching one fighter by surprise. It exploded. The other 2 fighters turned toward them. "Hold on," Daesung said. The dogfight was brutal and fast. The Dominion fighters were quicker, but Daesung flew like he had in the asteroid field. Unpredictable. Wild. He used moves that should have torn the ship apart, but somehow, the Morning Star held together. Yura couldn't watch. Every time warning lights flashed, she flinched. Every time the ship shook from weapons fire, she thought they were going to die. But Daesung never hesitated. He fought with absolute focus. 1 fighter down, then the second. The third tried to run. Daesung let it go. "The transport's damaged but stable," he said. "We need to get them to safety." As if in answer, the Dominion interceptor from before appeared on the scanner. It had been waiting. Watching. Now it moved in for the kill. "Our shields are down," Yura said, reading the displays. "Engines are damaged. We can't outrun it." "I know." Daesung opened a comm channel to the transport. "This is the Morning Star. Follow our coordinates. There's a safe station 3 jumps from here. What about you?" A young woman's voice came through. "You saved us. We can't just leave you." "Well, you can and you will. Get those people to safety." The transport hesitated, then its engines flared. It jumped to hyperspace, disappearing. The interceptor closed in. Daesung tried to maneuver, but the Morning Star was too damaged. A blast struck the ship's side. Sparks flew from the control panels. "We're hit," Yura said unnecessarily. Smoke filled the bridge. Daesung fought with the controls, trying to keep them stable. "There's a planet nearby. I can get us down." "Maybe. Maybe? Better odds than staying up here." He pointed the ship toward a brown and gray planet. The Morning Star fell more than flew. The hull screamed as they entered the atmosphere. Daesung wrestled with the controls. His arms straining, they crashed in a desert of red sand. The impact threw Yura forward. Her harness caught her, but pain exploded in her chest. When everything stopped moving, she looked over at Daesung. He was slumped in his seat, blood running down his face. But he was breathing. "Daesung," she said weakly. He opened his eyes and smiled. "Told you, I'd get us down." Through the cracked viewport, Yura saw buildings in the distance, structures half buried in sand. An abandoned colony. "We need to move," Daesung said. He unbuckled and stood, wincing. "That interceptor knows where we are. They'll send a ground team. How long do we have?" "Few hours. Maybe less." He looked at her seriously. "Yura, you need to run. Take the data and go. This is your chance." She stared at him. The logical choice was clear. Save herself. Save the data. Complete the mission. But looking at this human who had risked everything for strangers, who had saved her without asking for anything in return, she realized something. She didn't want to run anymore. Not alone. "No," she said quietly. "No? I'm staying. We fight together." For the first time since she met him, Daesung looked surprised. Then he smiled. A real smile. Warm and genuine. "All right then," he said. "Let's make them regret coming after us." The abandoned mining colony smelled like rust and old machines. Yura followed Daesung through the dark corridors. her footsteps echoing off metal walls. Every shadow made her jump. Every sound made her think Dominion soldiers were already here. "This place has been empty for years," Daesung said, shining his light into a large room. Old mining equipment sat covered in dust. "But the structure is solid. We can use it." "Use it how?" Yura asked. "There's nowhere to run. The ship is destroyed. We're not running." He began examining the equipment, his hands moving over controls and levers. "We're making a stand." "A stand? Against trained soldiers? There's only 2 of us." Daesung looked at her calmly. "Sometimes the best defense is being somewhere your enemy doesn't want to fight. This colony has tight corridors, low ceilings, lots of choke points. Perfect for an ambush. You sound like you've done this before." "I have." He found what he was looking for, an old mining laser. "Help me move this." For the next few hours, they worked. Daesung showed Yura how to set traps, using the mining equipment. They rigged power cells to explode when triggered. They weakened support beams in certain tunnels so they would collapse under pressure. They positioned the mining lasers to fire on command. Yura had never done anything like this. Her hands were meant for delicate laboratory work, not hauling heavy equipment. But she tried. Every time she struggled, Daesung was there to help. Patient, never frustrated. "Why are you teaching me this?" she asked, taking a break to catch her breath. "You could do it faster alone." "Because you need to know how to defend yourself." He handed her a small weapon. "Point and pull the trigger. That's it. Keep it with you." Yura took the weapon. It felt heavy and wrong in her hands. "I'm not a fighter." "You don't have to be a fighter. You just have to be willing to survive." He met her eyes. "Are you?" She thought about the data core, about the millions of lives that depended on it, about the galaxy that needed to know the truth, and she thought about the human standing in front of her, who had given up his safety for hers. "Yes," she said firmly. Daesung smiled. "Good." They continued working as the sun set outside. The colony had emergency lights that barely worked, casting everything in dim red. As they prepared, Yura found herself watching Daesung. The way he moved, the way he thought. Everything was tactical, strategic, but underneath it, she sensed something else. Pain. Old wounds that never healed. "Can I ask you something?" she said quietly. "Sure." "When your unit was left behind, how did you keep going? How did you not give up?" Daesung stopped working. He sat down on a crate, and for a moment, he looked very tired. "Because giving up meant they won. The people who betrayed us, who left us to die, I couldn't let them win." He paused. "And because I made a promise to the soldiers who didn't make it out, that I'd keep fighting, that their deaths wouldn't be for nothing. That's a heavy burden to carry." "Yeah, it is." He looked at her. "But it's mine to carry. Everyone's got something that keeps them moving forward. That's yours now. That data you're protecting, those lives you're trying to save." Yura sat beside him. "I'm scared." "Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Keeps you alive." He reached over and squeezed her shoulder gently. "Being scared doesn't make you weak, Yura. Not acting because you're scared, that's what makes you weak." Before she could respond, an alarm blared. Daesung jumped to his feet and ran to the scanner they had salvaged from the ship. His expression hardened. "They're here. 20 soldiers. Full combat gear." Yura felt her heart stop. 20? How can we possibly survive against 20? By being smarter. By using this place against them. He checked his weapons. "Get to the hiding spot I showed you. Stay there no matter what happens. What if something happens to you? Then you take the data and find another way out. Don't stop. Don't look back." He started toward the entrance, then paused. "Yura, thank you." "For what?" "For staying. For choosing to stand with me." He smiled slightly. "It's nice not to fight alone for once." Then he was gone, disappearing into the shadows of the colony. Yura went to her hiding spot. A small room behind a sealed door. Through a crack, she could see one of the main corridors. Her hands shook as she held the weapon Dae-sung had given her. She heard them before she saw them. Heavy boots. Multiple sets. The Dominion soldiers moved through the colony in formation. Professional. Efficient. They wore full armor and carried weapons that could tear through walls. Spread out. The leader commanded. Find them. The scientist is worth more alive, but the human dies. Sign. There is Aider. Signed every 5-8. Yura watched as they split into groups. 4 soldiers moved down the corridor she was watching. They walked right past her hiding spot. Then they reached the first trap. The explosion was deafening. The power cell Yura and Dae-sung had rigged went off, collapsing part of the tunnel. 2 soldiers went down. The others scrambled back. Traps, someone shouted. Watch your step. More explosions echoed through the colony. Dae-sung was triggering them remotely, one after another. The neat formations broke apart. Soldiers scattered, trying to find cover. That's when Dae-sung struck. Yura saw him drop from a ventilation shaft behind 3 soldiers. He moved like water. Smooth and unstoppable. 3 quick strikes, and all 3 were down before they could raise their weapons. He disappeared back into the vents before their squadmates could react. He's using guerrilla tactics, the leader snarled. Stay in pairs. Watch each other's backs. But Dae-sung had planned for that too. The mining lasers activated, firing down corridors at random intervals. The soldiers had to keep moving, never staying in one place. And every time they moved, Dae-sung was there. In the shadows, in the vents, behind them, always where they didn't expect. Yura watched in amazement. 1 human against 20 trained soldiers. And he was winning. Not through strength or superior firepower, but through pure tactical brilliance. He turned the colony into a weapon. Every corridor was a trap, every room a potential ambush. But even Dae-sung couldn't be everywhere at once. 5 soldiers found a path through the traps. They moved carefully, checking every corner. They were heading straight for Yura's hiding spot. Her breath caught. She pressed herself against the wall, trying to be invisible. But they had scanning equipment. One of them pointed directly at her door. Life sign detected. In there. They moved toward the door. Yura raised her weapon with trembling hands. She had never shot anyone before. Never hurt anyone. But as the door began to open, she thought about what Dae-sung said. Being scared doesn't make you weak. Not acting makes you weak. The door burst open. A soldier stepped through. Yura pulled the trigger. The recoil knocked her backward. The shot went wide, hitting the wall, but it was enough to make the soldiers hesitate. In that moment of confusion, the ceiling above them exploded. Dae-sung dropped down, landing in the middle of the group. The fight was brutal and close. Dae-sung took hits that should have stopped him. Yura saw blood on his armor. But he didn't slow down. Humans, she realized, could endure pain that would cripple her species. They just kept fighting. 3 soldiers down. 4. The 5th tried to run. Dae-sung let him go. He turned to Yura, breathing hard. Blood ran down his face from a cut above his eye. You okay? She nodded, unable to speak. Good. Come on, we need to move. He pulled her from the hiding spot just as more soldiers entered the corridor. They ran through the colony, Dae-sung leading the way. Behind them, weapons fire tore through walls. An explosion rocked the corridor, and the ceiling started to collapse. Dae-sung pushed Yura forward, then turned back. Dae-sung, she screamed. He fired at a support beam. The tunnel collapsed completely, cutting them off from the soldiers. But it also cut Dae-sung off from Yura. She was on one side of the rubble. He was on the other. Keep going. His voice came through the rocks. Get to the surface. There's an escape tunnel in the main chamber. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. That's an order. Yura stood frozen. Every instinct screamed at her to run. To save herself and the data. That's what she had always done. Run. Save herself. But then she remembered his words. Not acting because you're scared makes you weak. She wasn't weak. Not anymore. Yura looked around frantically. There had to be another way. She spotted a ventilation shaft, the same kind Dae-sung had been using. Without thinking, she climbed inside. The shaft was barely big enough for her small frame. She crawled through darkness, following the sounds of fighting below. She emerged in a large chamber. Below, Dae-sung was surrounded by the remaining soldiers. He was wounded badly now. Limping, but still fighting. Yura saw the power core they had rigged earlier. The one they were saving for emergencies. She had helped set it up. She knew exactly how to trigger it. Her hands found the controls. The soldiers were too focused on Dae-sung to notice her. She set the timer. 10 seconds. Enough time for Dae-sung to get clear if she warned him. Dae-sung, she shouted. Run, now. He looked up, saw her, saw what she was doing. His eyes went wide. Yura. No, but it was too late. She triggered the core and jumped back into the vent. The explosion lit up the entire chamber. The soldiers scattered, trying to escape. The blast knocked them down like toys. When the smoke cleared, Yura climbed down from the vent. Dae-sung was on his knees, coughing, but alive. The soldiers were unconscious or retreating. They had won. Dae-sung looked at her with something like wonder. You saved me. Dae-sung. You saved me. You saved me first, Yura said. She helped him stand. We're even. He laughed, then winced in pain. We need to move. Their ship will send reinforcements. Then let's go. Together, they limped toward the surface, supporting each other. As they emerged from the colony into the night air, Yura saw lights in the sky. A ship was landing. But not a Dominion ship. It was the civilian transport they had saved. A young human woman ran out. We came back. We couldn't just leave you. Dae-sung smiled tiredly. Thought I told you to run. Humans don't abandon each other, the woman said. She introduced herself. I'm Rim. I'm an engineer. Your ship's destroyed. But mine works. Come on. As they boarded the transport, Yura looked back at the mining colony. She had entered it as a scientist who ran from fights. She was leaving as someone who stood and fought, someone who chose bravery over fear. She didn't know it yet, but that choice would change everything. The medical facility on Station Sanctuary was quiet and clean, so different from the chaos they had escaped. Yura sat beside Dae-sung's bed, watching him sleep. The doctors said he would recover. Humans healed faster than most species. Their bodies were built to endure and repair. She had barely left his side in 3 days. Every time she tried to sleep, she dreamed of the mining colony, of explosions and soldiers. And the moment she thought she had lost him, Rim entered the room carrying 2 cups of coffee. She was younger than Yura had first thought, maybe in her mid-20s. Her hair was tied back, and grease stained her hands from working on her ship. Still here? Rim asked, handing Yura a cup. I can't leave him alone. He's not alone. The medical staff checks on him every hour. Rim sat down. When's the last time you ate? Yura couldn't remember. I'm not hungry. That's not what I asked. Rim pulled out a food bar and placed it on the table. Eat. You won't help anyone if you collapse. Reluctantly, Yura took the food bar. As she ate, she studied Rim. Why did you come back for us? You could have escaped. You should have. Rim smiled slightly. I'm human. We have this annoying habit of not abandoning people who save our lives. She paused. Plus, I know what it's like to run from the Dominion, to feel like no one will help you. You worked for them? For the Coalition, actually, as an engineer. I designed security systems. Rim's expression darkened. Then I discovered the Coalition was helping the Dominion hide certain activities. When I tried to report it, They tried to silence me. Permanently. So you ran. I ran. Been moving from station to station ever since, doing repair work, trying to stay invisible. She looked at Dae-sung. Then this crazy human saves a transport full of strangers, including me. Figured the least I could do was return the favor. Dae-sung stirred, his eyes opening slowly. You two planning something without me? Yura stood quickly. You're awake. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a ship. He tried to sit up, and winced. But I'll live. I always do. Ah, the doctors want you to rest for at least a week, Yura said. Don't have a week. He looked at her seriously. That data you're carrying? We need to get it to the Coalition Council before the Dominion finds us again. He's right. HFY said. Station security told me there's been chatter. The Dominion is searching every station in this sector. They know you're here somewhere. My ham. Yura pulled out the data core. She had protected it through everything. Crashes, explosions, battles. But now, looking at it, she felt doubt creeping in. What if it doesn't matter? She said quietly. What if we get this to the council, and they just bury it? The Dominion has allies everywhere, power everywhere. Then we make sure they can't bury it, Dae-sung said. He swung his legs off the bed, ignoring the medical monitors that started beeping. We don't just give them the data. We broadcast it. Make it public. Every station, every planet, every species sees it at the same time. HFY's eyes widened. You want to hack the Coalition's main communication hub? Can you do it? I designed parts of that hub. I know every back door, every security flaw. She grinned. Yeah, I can do it. But we'd need to be physically at the hub. The encryption is too strong for remote access. Where's the hub? Yura asked. Coalition Central. The most heavily guarded station in known space. HFY pulled up a hologram, showing a massive station surrounded by warships. Security is impossible to breach. For most species, Dae-sung smiled. Good thing we're not most species. Yura, can you decrypt the data so it's ready to broadcast? Yes, but it will take time. Then start now. HFY, plot a course to Coalition Central. Safest route you can find. You're in no condition to fight, Yura protested. I'm not planning to fight. I'm planning to sneak. He stood, swaying slightly. Sometimes, the best way to win is not to be seen at all. Over the next 2 days, they prepared. Yura worked on decrypting the data, breaking through layers of Dominion security protocols. What she found made her blood run cold. The biological weapon was worse than she thought. The Dominion had already tested it on 3 colonies. Entire populations wiped out in hours. She showed Dae-sung the files. His face went pale. These were civilian populations. Yes, they killed them to perfect the weapon, to make sure it worked. Then we definitely can't let this stay hidden. He looked at the death counts. Thousands. Tens of thousands. How many species are targeted? 47. All species that have opposed Dominion expansion. Yura pulled up another file. But humans aren't on the list. What? The weapon doesn't work on humans. Your genetic diversity is too high. The targeting mechanism can't lock onto any consistent markers. She showed him the research notes. The scientists were frustrated. They called humans genetically chaotic. Dae-sung laughed bitterly. We're too mixed up to kill efficiently. That's almost funny. It's not funny. It means the Dominion will find other ways to eliminate humans if they become a threat. Let them try. He touched her shoulder. We're going to stop this, Yura. All of it. She wanted to believe him. This human who had saved her, who had shown her what courage looked like. But doubt still whispered in her mind. That night, unable to sleep, Yura found Dae-sung on the observation deck. He stood looking out at the stars, his reflection visible in the glass. Can't sleep either, he asked, without turning. Too many thoughts. She joined him at the window. Dae-sung, What happens after? If we succeed, we survive, we rebuild, we keep going. That's not a plan. No, it's not. He finally looked at her. I've never been good at planning for after. I just focus on now. On the next fight, the next mission. That's all I know how to do. That sounds lonely. It is. He was quiet for a moment. But it's been less lonely since I met you. Yura felt warmth spread through her chest. I feel the same way. Before, I ran alone. Trusted no one. I thought that's how I had to be to survive. She paused. You showed me I was wrong. I was wrong. You showed yourself. I just gave you a reason to try. She stepped closer to him. What will you do? After all this is over? I don't know. I've been fighting so long. I'm not sure I remember how to do anything else. He smiled slightly. What about you? I used to think I wanted to go back to research. To labs and equations. Safe, predictable work. She looked down at her hands, calloused now from hauling equipment and setting traps. But I don't think I can go back to that person. The one who looked away from hard things. You don't have to figure it out now. Dae-sung? She took his hand carefully. His skin was rough and scarred. Maybe we could figure it out together. After. He squeezed her hand gently, mindful of her smaller bones. I'd like that. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. For the first time since she fled the Dominion, Yura felt something other than fear. She felt hope, not just hope for the mission's success, but hope for something beyond, a future, with someone who made her feel safe. The next morning, they reached Coalition Central. The station was enormous, a city in space. Ships came and went constantly. Security checkpoints everywhere. The Grand Assembly starts in 3 hours, Hayrim said, checking the schedule. Every council member will be there. Perfect time to broadcast. Perfect time for security to be at maximum. Dae-sung countered. But also perfect because they'll be focused on protecting the council, not watching the communication systems. How do we get inside? Yura asked. Hayrim grinned. I still have my old coalition credentials. They might not have deleted me from the system yet. I can pose as an engineer doing routine maintenance. And us? Dae-sung asked. You're my assistants. Keep your heads down, don't make eye contact, act like you belong. It sounded too simple. Too easy. But as they docked and went through security, it worked. The guards barely glanced at their credentials. Hayrim's confidence sold the lie. They made it to the communication hub, a massive room filled with servers and control stations. Hayrim went to work immediately, her fingers flying over the controls. How long? Dae-sung asked, standing watch at the door. 10 minutes, maybe less. Yura handed her the decrypted data core. Everything's ready. As soon as you broadcast this, the whole galaxy will know. No going back after this, Hayrim said. Good, Yura replied. I'm done running. That's when alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed. Dae-sung looked at the security monitors and cursed. We've got company. Big company. On the screens, Yura saw soldiers moving toward the communication hub. Leading them was a human in an admiral's uniform. His face was cold and familiar. Dae-sung went pale. No, that's impossible. You know him? Yura asked. Admiral Taewon. My former commander. Dae-sung's voice was filled with pain and anger. The one who left my unit to die. The one who works for the Dominion now. The Admiral's voice came through the station's speakers. Dae-sung, I know you're in there. Come out peacefully, and maybe I'll let your friends live. Dae-sung looked at Yura and Hayrim. You two finish the upload. I'll buy you time. No, Yura said firmly. We fight together. Yura, if I don't go out there, he'll send soldiers in. You'll die, and the data will never reach the galaxy. Then we all die. Tears filled her eyes. I won't watch you sacrifice yourself. He cupped her face gently. This isn't sacrifice. This is finishing what I started years ago. Trust me. Please. Crete, class 2 P-team. Crete, classed. Please. Before she could argue, he kissed her forehead and walked toward the door. Dae Sung, she screamed. He looked back one last time, smiled, and said, make sure they know the truth. Make it count. Then he was gone. The door sealing behind him. Yura fell to her knees, sobbing. Hayrim pulled her up. We can't fall apart now. We have to finish this. For him. With shaking hands, Yura helped Hayrim complete the upload. Through the door, they heard weapons fire. Explosions. Fighting. Every sound was agony. Upload's ready, Hayrim said. On your word. Yura thought about everything that led her here. All the running. All the fear. And she thought about the human who had shown her courage, who was fighting right now so she could finish this. Do it, she said. Hayrim pressed the button. The data flooded across every coalition channel. Every screen in the galaxy suddenly showed the truth. The Dominion's crimes, the dead colonies, the biological weapon. Everything. They had done it. But the cost might be too high. Yura ran to the door, ready to find Dae Sung. Ready to save him the way he had saved her so many times. She just hoped she wasn't too late. The corridor outside the communication hub was filled with smoke and bodies. Yura ran through the chaos, searching desperately for Dae Sung. Weapons fire echoed from somewhere ahead. She followed the sound, her heart pounding. She found them in a large observation deck. Dae Sung and Admiral Tae-1, circling each other like predators. Both were bleeding. Both were exhausted. Around them, unconscious soldiers lay scattered. Dae Sung had fought through all of them to reach his former commander. You always were stubborn, Tae-1 said, breathing hard. Even when your whole unit was dying, you wouldn't accept reality. Reality was that you sold us out. Dae Sung replied. You took Dominion money and left your own people to die. I made a practical choice. The Dominion was going to win. They always win. So I chose the winning side. Tae-1 smiled coldly. You could have done the same. Instead, you became a mercenary. A nobody. Better a nobody than a traitor. Tae-1 attacked. The two humans clashed with brutal efficiency. Dae Sung was the better fighter. But he was wounded and tired. Tae-1 had military enhancements, making him faster and stronger than normal humans. Yura watched helplessly from the doorway. She raised her weapon but couldn't get a clear shot. They moved too fast, too close together. Tae-1 landed a hard hit to Dae Sung's side. Dae Sung stumbled, and the Admiral pressed his advantage. A kick sent Dae Sung crashing into the wall. He tried to stand but collapsed. It's over, Tae-1 said, raising his weapon. You lost. Just like you always lose. No, Yura screamed. Tae-1 turned, surprised to see her. The scientist. Perfect. I'll kill you both, and recover the data. The data's already gone, Yura said, broadcasting across every channel. The whole galaxy knows what the Dominion did. What you helped them do. For the first time, Tae-1's confidence cracked. That's impossible. The security was designed by my friend. She knew every weakness. Yura stepped forward. It's over. You can't hide this. Can't bury it. Tae-1's face twisted with rage. Then you'll die for nothing. He aimed his weapon at her. Yura closed her eyes, waiting. But the shot never came. Dae Sung had found his feet. He crashed into Tae-1 from the side, and both men went down. They fought on the ground, brutal and desperate. Dae Sung was running on pure willpower now. Every hit cost him. But he didn't stop. Finally, with a last burst of strength, he disarmed Tae-1 and pinned him down. His fist raised for a final strike. Do it, Tae-1 spat. Prove you're no better than me. Dae Sung's fist trembled. Then, slowly, he lowered it. I'm not like you. I don't kill defeated enemies. He stood, leaving Tae-1 on the ground. But he had forgotten the Admiral's enhancements. Tae-won moved impossibly fast, grabbing a fallen weapon. He fired at Dae-sung's back. Yura didn't think. She just moved. Diving forward, she knocked Dae-sung aside. The shot meant for him hit her instead. Pain exploded through her shoulder. She fell, the world spinning. Through blurring vision, she saw Dae-sung's face above her. He was shouting, but she couldn't hear the words. Then she saw him turn, saw him pick up a weapon, saw him face Tae-won one final time. The Admiral was reloading. Confident. But something had changed in Dae-sung. His expression went cold. Focused. The look of a soldier who had made a decision. He moved. Not with rage, but with absolute precision. Tae-won tried to fire, but Dae-sung was faster. One shot. Clean and final. The Admiral fell and didn't get up. Dae-sung dropped the weapon and rushed to Yura. "Stay with me. Yura, stay with me." "I'm okay," she managed to say. Just a shoulder wound. "You saved me. Why did you do that?" "Because someone had to save you for once." Rim burst into the room with medical personnel. They loaded Yura onto a stretcher. As they carried her away, she saw Coalition security arriving. Saw them staring at the screens, showing the broadcast. Saw their expressions change from confusion to horror as they realized what the Dominion had done. The last thing she saw before unconsciousness took her was Dae-sung's face. He was holding her hand, refusing to let go. She woke in a medical facility. Bright lights. Clean sheets. The smell of antiseptic. Her shoulder ached, but the pain was manageable. She tried to sit up and found Dae-sung asleep in a chair beside her bed. His hand still held hers. "He hasn't left," a nurse said quietly. "Been here 3 days straight. 3 days." Yura squeezed his hand gently. Dae-sung stirred, his eyes opening. When he saw her awake, relief flooded his face. "You're okay," he said. "Thank the stars, you're okay." "What happened?" "After I passed out, everything happened." He helped her sit up carefully. The broadcast worked. Every species in the Coalition saw the evidence. The Dominion leadership is being arrested. Their allies are abandoning them. The Coalition Council is in chaos. The bioweapon, destroyed. Coalition forces raided every Dominion research facility. They found the weapon and eliminated it. Yura felt tears on her face. "It's over. We did it. You did it. You made it happen." He brushed her tears away gently. "Yura, I'm sorry. I should have protected you better. You shouldn't have been shot. I chose to take that shot. I chose to save you." She looked at him seriously. "You've been protecting everyone else for so long. Someone needed to protect you." He smiled, but it was sad. "I lost Tae-won, my former commander. I thought maybe I could save him, show him a better way. But in the end, he made his choices. You made yours." Yura took his hand in both of hers. "You chose to help people, to stand against evil. That's who you are." Over the next weeks, the galaxy transformed. The Dominion's power collapsed as their crimes became public. Species that had been oppressed for decades rose up and demanded justice. The Coalition underwent massive reforms, removing corrupt officials and implementing new oversight. Yura was offered a position leading an independent ethics commission. The job was to make sure nothing like the Dominion's bioweapon could ever be developed again. She accepted immediately, but she had conditions. "Humans deserve full representation in the Coalition," she told the Council. "They've been dismissed as too aggressive, too chaotic. But humanity saved my life. A human exposed these crimes. Without humans, we would all be living under Dominion control or dying from their weapon." The Council agreed. Humans were granted full voting status and seats on every major committee. It was a small step, but an important one. Yura found Dae-sung at the old docking bay where they had first met. His ship, the Morning Star, had been recovered and repaired. He was loading supplies. "Going somewhere?" she asked. He turned, surprised to see her. Thought you'd be busy with your new job. I am busy. But I wanted to talk to you first. She climbed aboard the ship. It felt like home. Where are you going? The frontier. There are still people out there who need help. Colonies being raided. Settlements under threat. Someone's got to look out for them. That sounds dangerous. It is. He paused. But it's what I know how to do. Help people. Fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Yura looked around the ship. At the medical bay where he had first treated her wounds. At the common area where they had shared tea and stories. At the bridge where they had survived impossible odds together. Remember when you asked what I'd do after everything was over? She said. I remember. I said maybe we could figure it out together. Yura, you have an important job now. Reforming the galaxy. You can't just walk away from that. I'm not walking away. I'm taking my work mobile. She pulled out a data pad. The Ethics Commission doesn't require me to stay on Coalition Central. I can work from anywhere. Monitor research facilities across the galaxy. Investigate potential violations. Monitor research facilities. That sounds like a lot of traveling. It does. I'll need a ship. And a pilot. She smiled. Know anyone who might be interested? Daesung stared at her. You want to come with me? After everything? You could have safety, comfort, a normal life. I tried safety and comfort. I spent years hiding in laboratories, pretending the galaxy's problems weren't my concern. She stepped closer to him. Then I met a human who showed me that safety isn't about hiding from danger. It's about having someone stand with you when danger comes. It won't be easy. The frontier is rough. I know. I've seen you fight. Seen what you're willing to do for others. She took his hand. I want to be part of that. Help where I can. Use my knowledge to prevent more weapons, more atrocities. But I want to do it with you. Daesung pulled her close, careful of her healing shoulder. I told you before. It's been less lonely since I met you. Then let's not be lonely anymore. He kissed her then. Gentle and warm. A promise of something beyond war and survival. When they parted, he was smiling. All right then. Partners? Partners, she agreed. Hayreem appeared at the ship's entrance. Room for one more? I figure you'll need an engineer. Especially the way you fly. Daesung laughed. Welcome aboard. 3 months later, the Morning Star touched down on a frontier colony under attack from raiders. Yura stood beside Daesung as he assessed the situation. She wore light armor now. I learned from experience. Her wings were stronger from exercise and training. She still wasn't a warrior like him, but she could fight when needed. Could protect others. Think we can help them? She asked. Daesung checked his weapons and smiled. That confident, determined smile she had come to love. We always find a way. They walked toward the colony together. Hayreem followed, already scanning for technical solutions. 3 people against impossible odds. Just like always. But Yura wasn't afraid. Fear used to control her, make her run, make her hide. Now it just made her sharp. Alert. Ready. She had learned so much from this human. About courage. About fighting for what's right. About standing with others instead of running alone. Most importantly, she had learned what safety really meant. It wasn't the absence of danger. It was having someone watch your back. Someone who would fight beside you. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. She didn't plan to stay when she first crashed on that docking bay, desperate and alone. She had planned to run forever, trusting no one, staying nowhere. But Daesung had given her something she thought was lost. Hope, purpose, home, not a place, a person. A human warrior who made her feel safe enough to be brave. As they entered the colony to face whatever waited, Yura smiled. She had finally found where she belonged. Not in a laboratory, or a safe station, or a distant hiding place. She belonged here. In the chaos and danger of the frontier, fighting beside people who chose to stand up when others would run, she belonged with him. And this time, she was staying.